This is a Swede Speaks. In my mind, or in my opinion, this election has been an extremely boring campaign. And I guess the main reason actually is that some of the most important issues have not been debated. Migration policies have been a non-issue in the election. Islam and Islamization has been a non-issue in the election. The Norwegian membership of the European Economic Agreement was effectively turned into a non-issue when the Progress Party decided to stand up for the EEA. That was the one decision that made it impossible for me to vote for them. And I have already voted. And I don't pretend to be neutral or unbiased or something like that. So I'll tell you who I voted for, or at least which party. I voted for a party called Partiet de Kristne, which could be translated as the Christian Party. They will probably not get into parliament. I voted ideologically and not tactically at all, because, well, there was none of the parties in parliament deserved my vote. However, they might get into parliament in Hordaland County, the county that surrounds Bergen, the second largest city in Norway. We'll see. I don't think so, but I am hoping and praying. Well, some of the interesting things that has happened during this election campaign. Well, my favorite cabinet minister, Sylvi Listhaug, she has been in the media. She was in the media a few weeks ago because she decided to go to Rinkeby in Stockholm and meet with local police. And she also met with Tina Sanandaji, a Swedish economist of Kurdish background, who writes about how Sweden's migration policies affect the economy and also other things. She was supposed to meet the Swedish migration minister, but the Swedish migration minister cancelled the very same day as Sylvi Listhaug landed in Sweden. And she cancelled because the Norwegian government had called up the Swedish government and told them not to meet Sylvi Listhaug, because this was a stunt in the election campaign. That's what they told the Swedish government, and the Swedes did what the Norwegian government asked them to. So, Sylvi Listhaug was undermined by her own government. Then of course Sylvi Listhaug was recently in Norwegian TV and debated Farhad Qureshi, who is the leader of an organization called Islam.net, where he refused to shake her hand because she's a woman. And that was a news that actually wasn't only a news in Norway, but also in Sweden and in the United States. So that's interesting. She has been someone in the election that you have seen and heard about. The other ones have been pretty grey. There was a scandal concerning the leader of the Norwegian Labour Party, Jonas Gahr Støre, who really is one of these champagne socialists. He comes from a wealthy family. He lives in the most expensive part of Oslo. Well, the richest, the whitest, and the most right-wing part of Oslo. That's where he lives. And there was a scandal concerning him because he had hired some workers without making sure they were paid according to Norwegian rules. Well, he didn't check that the taxes were being paid on their wages. So maybe they were working under the table, who knows? And this scandal, this happened 6 years ago, but the scandal just reached the news a few weeks ago, and this probably hurt the Labour Party severely in this election campaign. So right now, I'm looking at the last poll before the election, and I just made the numbers. The non-socialist parties, or the so-called non-socialist parties, I think you know that I might be of a different opinion. But according to the last poll, they have 49.2%, while the left-wing parties, including socialists and Greens, have 49.1% together, so there's a really tiny difference. However, maybe not all of these parties will be in parliament, because there's you need to get a certain percentage of votes to get there. It's a complicated system that I will explain in some other video maybe. So it's really interesting now to see what happens. I would also like to mention a little about the three parties that kind of competes against the established right wing from the right. And those three parties are, well, let's take them in alphabetical order. Alliansen, the Alliance, Partiet de Kristne, or, well, yeah, let's take, yeah, which could be called the Christian Party, and Demokraterna, the Democrat Party. I interviewed the Oslo candidate for the Democrat Party recently in this channel, as you might remember, and they are not like the Democrat Party in the United States. They just happen to have the name in common. And Partiet de Kristne, the Christian Party, they might get a seat in Hordaland County, as I said. I doubt any of the other parties will have a chance of getting in, and I don't think the Christian Party will get in, even though I voted for them, but I hope I'm wrong. Actually, I would be happy if, at least if Kristelig Folkeparti, the Christian People's Party, and Venstre, which is a left liberal party. The name really means left, but, well, in Norway they are considered right-wing, although, yeah, they are left liberals. And they are the parties that have been supporting the minority government we've had for the past few years around here. The government consists of Høyre, the so-called Conservative Party, and Fremskrittspartiet, the Progress Party, which is considered a right-wing populist party, and they happen to be the party that Sylvi Listhaug belongs to. I would be happy if Kristelig Folkeparti and Venstre would lose their seats, and for instance, Demokraterna and Partiet de Kristne would get seats instead. I would like that. That would really make politics a lot more conservative. Alliansen, I'm not sure about them. I have my doubts about their leader, but they are better than than the parties in parliament still, I believe. I'm not sure, but I believe so. So this is some of the things that have been going on lately. And we will see what happens. I will follow the election tonight on Norwegian TV, which I will get through my computer, because as I mentioned, I don't have a TV, but I will get it through my computer instead. And I'll see if there's anything worthwhile to comment on, if something unexpected happens. Maybe I will do that tomorrow. Maybe I will do the commenting tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So, right now, I just hope that Norway... Well, this is really... The alternatives is a bad one and a worse one. The bad one is that we keep the government we got, with Prime Minister Erna Solberg from Høyre, the so-called Conservative Party. And the worst one is that the Labour Party, with their leader Jonas Gahr Støre, forms a government, which would be really crazy. There is one more thing I need to say. I have been in some contact with Max Hermansen, the candidate for Demokraterna, the Democrat Party, here in Oslo. And he has been a one-man show in the main street of Oslo, Karl Johans gate. And he has been handing out pamphlets more or less every day, I think. And he has been attacked. He hasn't been... I think he's fine, and people have teared down the election booth that he's been standing in front of with the name, well, for his party. And some of the things that's been going on is that big media in Norway, mass media, the mainstream mass media, they have almost not mentioned the Democrat Party, and they haven't mentioned the Christian Party either, and they try to silence the Alliance too, because, well, they are not interested in reporting about that. And when it comes to the Democrat Party, at least, it's because Max Hermansen has been... He has been viciously, or I mean not viciously, but he has been stressing the point that Norway doesn't need any more Muslims. Norway needs fewer Muslims. That has been his point. He calls them the unintegrable. I would say you can't assimilate them because Islam is in the way, and the ones who assimilate will leave Islam. But I'm off on a tangent here, and I'll bring it back to you. The election polls that have been by the newspapers online in Norway, none of them has had any of these smaller parties listed as, well, they haven't been there as alternatives, so you wouldn't get them as your result if you answer questions. Do I believe X or Y? Do I think we need higher or lower taxes? Do I think we should have more or less immigration? Do I think there should be more or less private versus government funding of things, etc.? And in the school election campaigns, yes, there's something called that in Norway. These smaller parties. So what we see here is a system, including an informal one, where the establishment is protected against unestablished parties. The established parties will be protected by the mainstream media, by the Norwegian opinion corridor, even by the very Norwegian idea of having informal school elections where pupils get to vote, but where some parties are not on their ballots. So you could ask yourself, and if you are Norwegian, you should really ask yourself this: where is the democracy on all of this? So let me just say that tonight's results will be very interesting. They could be in one way boring, but it will be interesting to see what happens. And now I intend to follow the Norwegian election on Norwegian TV, well, through my computer, and we'll see what happens. So have a nice evening. God bless.